Welcome to Your Unique Brilliance podcast with Nicola bringing you a weekly fresh flow of guidance, inspirations, powerful tips, and conversations designed to help you create your vision, discover your greatest diamond potential, and begin living the life you want. This is about empowering your truth, your choice, and your voice. Hello, and welcome back to Your Unique Brilliance podcast with me, Nicola Salter. And today I am super delighted to introduce you to Nikki Goyle, who is a food and wellness expert and owner of Sanitas by Nikki. Her company is there to help us all create a healthy body and a healthy mind with the healing power of food. Nikki, it's great to have you on board today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here and having this conversation with you.
No, it's wonderful. And today we're going to be talking about the healing power of our mindset. And of course, how we came to meet each other as well and how this came to be. And we're going to be exploring how you actually helped yourself to shift your mindset with your business and why this is so important for all of us, for our personal growth as well as our health. So just to begin with, Nikki and I came together last year, and Nikki joined me as part of my Redefine Yourself program, where I help women to redefine themselves, empowering their mindsets to actually really step into their purpose, discover their why, follow through on this and take actions to monetize their potential and really build out their worth. And this is how we came to be together. Nikki, what was missing, do you think, before you started the work with me?
So, for me, so I'm going to rewind a little bit to kind of where everything started. So my background is actually in the beauty industry. My mom and I worked together for almost a decade, had a salon that it was a family salon, and I wasn't feeling fully fulfilled. And during the pandemic, it was a big pivoting point for me. And I really felt like there was more that was inside of me that I wanted to get out. But it's interesting when you have those feelings, you feel them, but you don't know how to take action. You don't really know where to go. So the first step that I did was creating an Instagram so I could start creating a community around what I wanted to do. And at the time, what my true passion is food. And I hadn't gone into the food as medicine portion of it. I was going more into the cooking, and food and wellness has been a big part of my life, just going through my own health issues since I was in my mid-20s. And I started going down that route, and I still was feeling very lost. I was feeling like I didn't know what my purpose was. I knew I have a purpose and I had a purpose, but I didn't know exactly how to define it and how to pinpoint it. So at the time, I started just surrounding myself with people who were already doing what they love and have the life that I want to create. So I just started really listening to them on podcasts, and I found Nicola. So I had joined a mastermind, and she was part of this mastermind. And I knew I needed a coach, and I had read about it in a book. Another woman who is a female entrepreneur talked about the benefits of finding a coach and really how it helped her take her business to the next level. And so I started researching Nicola. I did a discovery call with her. And from that moment, I knew that this was the person that was going to help me kind of get that clarity and vision in my business. And so we started working together, and I loved how you kind of have all these exercises that really helped me kind of get out of my own way and really focus in on what my message is and what I want to do and where I'm going and taking, my business in the future.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for that. I
Yeah.
mean, I would say, and I was making notes as you were talking, what's so interesting to me is that you did know somewhat, pretty much what your purpose was. It's very rare to find that.
Okay.
You knew your why. You did know your why,
Yeah.
and we expanded
Yeah.
on that, and we created
Mm-hmm.
what's called, I call it your unique brilliance. It's that being
Mm-hmm.
in your purpose, being in your flow. When you're in your flow, you don't notice time passing because you're loving doing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Being in your purpose and being in your flow is the foundation for success and staying
Yeah.
committed to what you love doing, and of course monetizing it. And you came to me pretty certain that it was food. You knew pretty
Yes.
well that that was your passion, and it was just like, where do we
Mm-hmm.
take that, and
Yeah.
what is this going to look like now? And of course, the the other part of the work I do, the foundation, is to support women to understand that it's as important to feel fulfilled as it is to be of service, and
Mm-hmm.
to understand the impact and value that you're making with what it is that you want to do, and defining your clients that you would like to work with. And so
Mm-hmm.
there's somewhat of a self-reflection aspect to this program. There's a lot of self-reflection. Basically, you're learning a
Mm-hmm.
lot about where your mindset is, what your uh, negative beliefs are that you've been holding on to, like
Mm-hmm.
self-sabotage and not feeling good enough, low confidence, low self-esteem. So during our journey together, what started to transpire was some of those things that were holding you back in terms
Exactly.
of believing to be true what you actually could do. And it was breaking through that wall and helping you believe to be true, and see, by
Mm-hmm.
retraining your mind, by resetting your mindset, that this was all possible because it was part of your purpose. And um, I would love you to share, if you feel comfortable,
Of course.
about some of, we call it your heroine's journey, right? Or your hero's
Yeah.
journey, as we call it. Some of the challenging things that you were still holding on to that were going to be holding you back. So, in your journey, you talked about your health,
Mm-hmm.
and some of the life choices you had to make
Mm-hmm.
over the last 10 years, which were pretty difficult,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
and the fears that you'd had around those. And then it was really like, how do I let go of these?
Mm-hmm.
And so just share with us some of those challenges that you were having before you finally stepped into this new direction.
Well, one thing that I realized when I was going down this new road of entrepreneurship and kind of completely reshifting everything that I had known, everything, it's like you kind of feel like you're in this box and you feel like, okay, I've got a job, check. Okay, I got
Mm-hmm.
married, check. Okay, what's the next step? And so then when you realize that the box, one of the boxes that you checked isn't really your ideal box and you want to pivot it,
Mm-hmm.
it can be a little kind of it can be a little unsettling. And
Yeah.
so that's what I found. And I really didn't realize how much my mindset was a big part of what was allowing me to move forward in what I am doing. And so when I started working with you, it was kind of becoming more present with what was going on in my beliefs and what had developed and ingrained in me since I was a child.
Yeah.
And it was little things. I mean, a lot of things really kind of alter the way that we perceive certain situations and perceive ourselves as well. And so for me, it was sitting with you and kind of breaking those limiting beliefs and shifting them into a new, more positive mindset. And I mean, I've done a lot of mindset work over the years, but having a coach and you take it to another level and I mean, you can go to talk therapy, you can do all of that, but there's like the mind body connection. And I feel like working with you, you really helped me figure out what those limiting beliefs were and how to shift them and how to kind of break that vicious cycle so I can step into my purpose and not have anything holding me back.
Thank you. And
So,
what was one of
yeah.
those limiting beliefs? You talked about being in the box and
Yeah.
ticking the other boxes, and then suddenly you're in a box that you're not so happy about. But
Hmm.
maybe traditionally everyone goes through ticking all these boxes, and suddenly you're deciding, I don't want to tick that box. That's not for
Hmm.
me. and
Yep.
stepping into your courage not to tick the box? What was the
Mm-hmm.
box?
So the box for me was, am I good enough? Am I knowledgeable when it comes to this topic and where my passion lies to really step into where I want to go? One of the things, I never went to a 4-year college. I never had, the degree. I chose to go into more of the entrepreneurship. And for me, that always kind of was like a little, almost like a little cloud over me, because I thought, oh, because I don't have that 4-year degree, I'm not good enough to continue down this path.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, that was definitely one of them. Also, always wondering, what are people going to think about what I have to say? And are they going to be receptive, or is this going to be something that people don't like?
Mm-hmm.
I think all of us crave that connection, and everybody wants to be accepted. And so, really breaking that down. And then another thing that was really big for me that I really didn't even think about, that I had a negative kind of relationship with, was money. I mean, that was part of our whole journey together,
Yeah.
was focusing on, my relationship with money. And I didn't realize that I had these negative subconscious beliefs
Mm-hmm.
that was affecting how money was coming into my life. So really getting through that as well. And it's still a work in progress. I mean, I have post-it notes in my bathroom of the stuff that I have my brilliant statement on my mirror that I
Yes.
say every
Good.
single day. I have,
Good.
anytime negative thoughts come into my brain, I'm always, going over some of the positive
Mm-hmm.
thought
Mm-hmm.
process that we
Mm-hmm.
went through.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I continue it each day.
Well, and that's wonderful to hear. I mean, I think a lot of our listeners will resonate with what you're saying with each of those boxes that you've just shared with us,
Yeah.
and also the box with the money. And
Hmm.
I would, thanks to you, I've actually just launched a course on Udemy, and I'll put the link with the show, called mastering your money mindset, basically,
Yeah.
because as we
Hmm.
covered your money mindset and the shifts that you have been able to make, and making friends with money, not seeing it
Hmm.
as a threat, and embracing it, understanding how it works just as hard for you as you work hard for it,
Hmm.
changing that relationship. And many of us don't realize that our mindset around money comes from the past, our ancestral beliefs, what we grew up with, what we were exposed to. I mean, parents will teach us about money subconsciously as we're exposed to what our parents are doing. Maybe they were running 2 or 3 jobs. Maybe they told us that you've got to work really, really, really hard to make money.
Hmm.
Or you've got to work 7 days a week to make a good income. Their money mindset obviously impacts us as we're growing up. And then we subconsciously carry it, and we have no idea that we're doing this. So
Hmm.
learning to understand where your existing money mindset has come from, and then learning and discovering how you can actually change it through taking daily habits, even as simple as Nikki just said, putting those sticky notes up on the wall around reminders as soon as your brain starts going into a brain dump, as I call it, of I'm not good enough, this is never going to work. How to pivot from that and train your brain in a new way, to believe a new story. It's like going to the gym, isn't it? It's like that
Yep.
daily practice and reminder, and being exposed to messages that you're sticking up around yourself so that you can see
Hmm.
visually the message, helps to retrain the brain, as well as the thought process, and of course the feeling process. We need to sort of feel some kind of positivity as well when we're having a thought process to change. And it takes the brain about 61 days to 240 days to make a change that's been
Hmm.
proven, as long as we're making a daily habit through a thought process of changing something where we might feel, oh, we're not good enough, or I'm not qualified enough.
Hmm.
To, as we did, the new story of, I have this experience, I've had certain health issues, you've had certain health issues that you
Hmm.
changed around
Hmm.
using food. You had to take care of yourself first, heal
Hmm.
yourself, and through that, you learned the experience of how you can then help others
Hmm.
through you know, this anti-inflammatory diet. And we're going to hear more about that in a few minutes, which I'm really excited to share with our listeners. And so, as our listeners can hear, you know, you're saying, oh, I don't have the qualification. I'm saying to you, okay, fine. But let's take what you do have. And then your clients who come to you, your divine right clients who you want to work with, you're being transparent. You're sharing with them your authentic journey, and they can choose whether this is something they want to follow or not. But I know through the Instagram posts that you're putting up and the videos that I'm seeing, I'm following these recipes. They're great. They're so tasty and delicious what you're putting out there. And again, we're going to put Nikki's Instagram link on the show so everyone can find it, and she'll share it with us at the end of the show. So informative, so knowledgeable. And what excites me is that you actually use this food and the way you're using food yourself and with your husband at the clinic and with your clients and for yourselves. So lots going on here, but ultimately, and this is what we're discussing, it is the healing power of your mindset and how we go around changing your mindset and how important it is for your personal growth. Now, I know during our time together, you heard me talk a lot about a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. Remember that? And just quickly for everyone to understand, a growth mindset is where you're open to make mistakes. You don't punish yourself when you make mistakes. You learn from your mistakes. And you take daily habits then to remedy that mistake until you've got that project in a way that you want to have it and it's working and it's succeeding. So it's like riding a bicycle or driving a car. You practice and you practice and you practice until you can ride the bike and until you drive the car. It's the same with having a growth mindset. A fixed mindset for many of us is where we do something wrong and it feels fatal to us. It can feel an absolute disaster and we walk away and we say, I am never doing that again. And we abandon something that could be quite amazing, but we just walk away from it because there was one little thing that didn't quite work out in our favor. And that's a fixed mindset. And what happens here is that you will only go so far when you have this fixed mindset, and you will be more sadly tortured by fears and anxieties when you're in that state, rather than retraining your brain to step more into this growth mindset. Okay, I'm going to stop talking for a second. It's your turn. So how why do you feel mindset is so important for your personal growth and your business? Let's start there.
Well, I mean, mindset is everything. It's interesting. I had learned I put goals for myself, and I always want to learn something new. And at one point I had learned the market trading. And I was speaking with somebody with, a woman who was, helping me learn this new task. And she said to me that it's 80% mindset and it was 90% mindset and 10% strategy. And I thought at the time, I was like, oh, mindset, I've got that down, like not a problem. This is in the bag. And it's interesting, and that was at the beginning of my journey of shifting my business. And so it was a really big eye opener for me to see how mindset really does impact the growth of your business. Because if you are in these limiting beliefs, if you are in that negative mind and you are kind of have that fixed mind, you're not going to grow as a person, and your business isn't going to grow. I mean, it's constantly, you have to learn to kind of roll with the punches and evolve and just kind of go with it and learn from your mistakes and continue to get better. I think, even having somebody like a coach or a leader that is a part of your journey also helps to continue that mindset work and allow you to evolve. And for me, I mean, one of the things that was a big aha moment was I started noticing how much negativity I was exposed to on a daily basis. And it was really during the pandemic. And, we all have, most of us have the news on our phone. You have the news app and you're constantly getting updates. And the news tends to be more on the negative side.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was, I started noticing that. And then I started noticing I was watching the news all the time. And, you have all of this constant
Yeah.
negativity. So for me, I made the decision to shut it off and to just really focus on how to incorporate more positive information in my life, and also people that are teaching me things on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
So people like you,
Mm-hmm.
podcasts, other entrepreneurs, and that really has shifted, how we handle our business and how we go through life,
Mm-hmm.
really looking at things aren't happening to me, they're happening for me. So,
Exactly. And just
yeah.
as a quick, that's so good to hear. And just as a quick FYI out to the listeners, a lot of our negativity will come from emotional wounds from the past. So, it's also identifying those, which we did during the program together, of why you've got this mindset in the first place. Because the brain does need to understand why, once you understood where some of these emotions were coming from, why you were holding on to them, it was easier to start shifting your mindset because you realized it wasn't your fault. It was just exposure your brain had to different experiences, and your brain had resolved to find or found answers for itself, maybe not the right answers, but it found answers to cope with those experiences. And most of these emotions that we have in this negative mindset we have are coping mechanisms. It's a form of survival or hypervigilance to get through these situations. But remember, everyone, your brain changes every day, and you have the choice to change from today, from this minute, how you are managing emotions and thoughts. Now, I'm curious, as you're shifting your mindset, and you're beginning to see the power of your mindset, how does this affect your business with mindset and food? Share with everyone what you do.
So what I do, so my husband and I work together. We have a clinic here in Scottsdale, Arizona. My husband is a pain doctor. And when we've been open almost 2 years, and when we opened, I started to see how what I have learned about the power of food was really beneficial for our patients. And a lot of the patients that are coming in are dealing with acute and chronic pain, which
can I just stop you there?
Yeah.
Because your husband's sitting behind you in the background,
Yeah.
and we just went through a little wave to him, even though he's
Wave,
not
honey.
looking. Hi, Ash, wave hi. That's good to see him. And it's good to see that you're fully functioning at the clinic there as we do this interview. Anyway, sorry to cut you off there.
No, you're fine. He's doing notes. He's seeing patients right now as we're doing this interview. But anyway, so you start to see that a lot of chronic pain, it not only has to do with mindset, but also inflammation in the body. And your mindset causes cortisol, right? So when you have stress, it creates a stress hormone, which is cortisol, and cortisol creates inflammation in the body. So one of the ways that you can reduce the inflammation is not only through mindset, but also through diet. And a lot of us are eating foods that are highly processed, especially busy pace society.
Yeah.
Everybody's looking for the quick grab and go. And what's quick grab and go? It's processed. So they say there's a gentleman who, and I'm forgetting his name, but he has a quote that says, if it's made in a plant, it's not okay. If it's, made, if it is a plant, it's okay to eat it. So
that's funny.
it's a good kind of, it allows you to understand the process and benefit of food and nutrition. But I started seeing, back to our clinic, I started seeing that there was this need for patients who had this inflammation, and just really teaching them that you don't need, some patients do need medication, and obviously, especially when you're dealing with chronic pain, but there is a natural component that you can add into your healing regimen, and that's just using the power of food. And eating a well-balanced diet. And what I really try and show people is how easy it is to make these meals at home. It doesn't have to be super time consuming. Most of the meals that I'm making tend to be about 20 to 30 minutes, at the most. Unless I'm doing like, maybe a roast or something like that, but that's pretty rare. So you don't have to go in depth when it comes to eating healthy. And not only is it, beneficial for your body, but it's also a lot less expensive than eating out constantly.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the thing, it's people, if they're given the recipes, and especially for women, because we are balancing so much with work and kids, if you give them the simple to do recipes, and just tell them what to do on a weekly basis, makes life so much easier, and they know that they can reduce their inflammation in the body. I do think most people don't quite understand about inflammation in their body, and that food creates inflammation. And what kind of inflammatory health issues can we have if we're eating foods that are, not well designed or not natural? What kind of issues can we have? Because sometimes people don't realize their stomach ache is because of inflammation.
Yeah, exactly. So inflammation is usually brought on by processed food, sugars, alcohol, even like red meat can cause it. If you have any food sensitivities, that can cause inflammation in the body. And typically, symptoms that people will see: brain fog, fatigue, low energy, gut issues. So if you tend to eat something and your gut immediately becomes, your stomach becomes inflamed, if you have any bowel issues, if you have any, there is, the brain body connection, there is a link to anxiety, depression. So that can also contribute as well. Memory issues, it's the brain and the gut are so well connected. And, I even noticed for me, so I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease when I was in my mid 20s. And that's really when I started learning the power and the benefits of food. And at that time, I knew nothing. I was eating really unhealthy foods, lots of processed foods, and really just I didn't know what I didn't know. And so then I started reading about autoimmune conditions and how you really, by changing what you're eating, you can reduce the inflammation and hopefully reduce some of your symptoms that you have with the autoimmune. And so, I started also realizing my gut issues that I had, which I was somebody who was every year, maybe once or twice a year, taking antibiotics, and my gut was a mess.
Right.
And so once I figured all of that out and I learned how to heal it, and I learned what my food sensitivities were, and I learned to really cut down on the processed foods, it has completely changed my life for the better. And not only do I have more energy now, but less stress and anxiety. My gut issues aren't nearly what they used to be. But what's interesting is now when I do, because I have been eating so clean over the years, when I do eat something that doesn't agree with me, I feel it. My whole body, I'll wake up in the middle of the night and my joints. So that's another symptom, is you can have joint pain. I'll get it in my fingers. Sometimes I'll get it in my hip. And that is, you almost, and I can feel the inflammation in my body, and you don't feel good. You almost feel, I call it a food hangover.
Food hangover.
So
I like,
yeah,
that makes sense. That makes sense. So a friend of mine, she was saying the same thing. She went gluten-free, much to her chagrin. She really didn't want to do it. But as soon as she went gluten-free, all her hip pain went away. She was amazed. All her joint pain went away. It was exactly what you're saying when she went gluten-free. And I mean, in the recipes and the information you provide, you're giving like different types of foods where you can buy stuff, right? Where you can say, if it's gluten-free, what type of gluten-free is that? Because I think that's half the problem. It's like, people start to shift their mindsets into better eating, which I'll come back to in a second. And then they don't know what to do next. It's like, where do I go to get this? How do I buy this? It's a new way of shopping. It's a new way of cooking. And so it can be a little overwhelming. How did you, with your approach when you're in your 20s, you knew you weren't well, you knew you had to take steps, but a lot of people would still ignore it. They would just be like, no, I'll be fine, it'll go away, you know. You had to change your mindset. You had to work out where to go and get these foods, how to put it together, and stay committed to doing it. And you didn't have any of the tools that we've, you know, discussed in the last few months. How did you stick to it and shift your mindset?
So I have the type of personality, I'm a rule follower. So if my doctor is telling me you have to do this, and it's almost, it can sometimes be to a fault, where I have to really learn how to have that balance in my life, because it's kind of an everything in moderation approach. And I was, you know, full force, okay, I have to be gluten-free, I have to do this. This is what my doctor is telling me. I am going to be the good student and make sure that I am getting that A. Where, you know, I started to realize that the body, you know, when you have an autoimmune disease, I think there are rare cases where you can maybe be in, they call it remission. But for me, it was learning that, you know, I had to take these steps in order to help reduce what they call their antibody levels. And so, you know, and that way, and the whole goal is, you don't want to be, so my Hashimoto's hasn't turned into, knock on wood, hasn't turned into hypothyroidism. And so that was kind of the whole goal. And so I knew, okay, I'm not on a medication. I don't want to take the medication. So I'm going to do what I can in order to hopefully help prevent this from turning into full-fledged hypothyroidism. Because then there's like a whole nother set of symptoms. And I think it's just, in my mind, knowing that I wanted to feel good. Like, I don't want to have these health symptoms, and I just want to feel good in my body. And at the time, I wasn't feeling good in my body. So that really gave me the motivation and kind of the determination to figure out what was going on, how to heal it, so I could feel better. And knowing that, and after I did research and realizing that you can heal your body, just because somebody says you have Hashimoto's or you have this condition, doesn't mean you're stuck with it. You can do things in order to reduce your symptoms so you can live a healthy and happy life.
Exactly. And it's very reassuring to hear you say that, and reassuring to many, I'm sure, that you've turned this around and you're managing it now through the healing power of food. And your brain was, or is, set in a way of what we call the reward system of, you know, you had a goal and then you implemented it with intention, but you also had purpose behind it, and you enjoyed food because food is your purpose and your why, and you're in the flow. So this is just an ideal sort of scenario to share with everyone, where you are in your purpose, you committed to this goal with an intention, and then shifted your belief system around this too, because also the brain wanted a reward to feel better. I mean, this is ultimately, you know, and our brain often wants rewards for different things. In your case, it was to feel better. And you took steps then to do that by the power of implementing your intentions. And this is how we shift our mindset. We have to have that goal, and we have to look at what that reward system is in order for us then to be able to take the steps to go towards it and be in flow with it and enjoy doing it. What would you say to people listening in who are hesitant to take the steps to make these changes that you did because they're just feeling a little overwhelmed by it? What would you suggest?
It is overwhelming when you start. And that is one thing that I try to communicate on my Instagram. We also have created a program
Mm-hmm.
that's an inflammation reset program. And we basically try to show and communicate that you can still enjoy life
Mm-hmm.
and be healthy at the same time. So one of the ways that I do that is with substitutions.
Okay.
So for me, I'm a foodie. I love food.
Mm-hmm.
I love cooking. And it was when somebody told me that I can't have the foods that I love,
Yeah.
it was depressing for me
Mm-hmm.
because I'm thinking, well, what can I eat? So
Mm-hmm.
what I have done is I've gone through and I've figured out, okay, what are better alternative and better options for the foods that I love? And how can I still eat what I enjoy, but also be healthy at the same time?
Mm-hmm.
And so I would say to just kind of start there. Start finding alternatives to the foods that you like. If you have a sweet tooth, instead of going for a Snickers bar, do go to Whole Foods and get an organic chocolate bar, that is like 70% cacao.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's whole and it's, not processed. And so just taking those baby steps and figuring out ways to slowly incorporate health into your life.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then once you start taking those baby steps, it gets easier and easier as time goes on. And one thing that is key is once you start feeling better, you're going to start to notice that as you start implementing all of these things you're going to start feeling better. And then you'll eat something that maybe you used to eat and then it'll make you feel bad. And so it continues to give you kind of that motivation to stay on the healthy regimen because you start getting used to feeling good. But I would say one of the things is don't go all in
Mm-hmm.
because that's what I did and
Mm-hmm.
it'll overwhelm you and it tends to burn you out to where then I went through a stage where I was like, I'm done. I'm not doing any of this
Yeah.
healthy food
Yes.
anymore.
I've done that. Yeah.
I'm just going to eat what I want because this is just too much and I don't want to think about it. And then over time, I slowly started incorporating it back into my life.
Wonderful. This is really good
Mhm.
information, Nikki. Thank you.
Yeah,
And this
you're
is
welcome.
what you do to help people. Is your niche client to work with those clients who have inflammation and pain?
Mhm,
That's who
mhm.
you work with. So
Yes,
listeners, if they have this,
yeah,
they can come to you. And
mhm,
this program that you just mentioned, how
yeah.
does that work? What's that all about?
So we have a program that we developed, and it's really a way to help people who are going through like a health transition in their life and
Mm-hmm.
don't even know where to start. So we have a 4 pillar process that
Mm-hmm.
we give to because the whole body and when it comes to inflammation, it's more than just diet that really contributes to the amount of inflammation in your body.
Mm-hmm.
There's You've got your mindset that we talked about and
Yep.
when you have the cortisol, you've got your diet and then you have movement. So not enough movement or too much movement can
Mm-hmm.
really have a big impact on your inflammation levels. And then sleep is huge.
Yeah,
So
it
when you
is.
have all of these systems are running in sync, it creates that optimal health and well-being.
Mm-hmm.
And we give you, and a lot of people can become overwhelmed when they think, oh my gosh, I've got to worry about my sleep and I've got to do my mindset and I've got to do my diet and movement.
Mm-hmm.
And it can create stress in the body and create,
Mm-hmm.
just people are going to give up. So we have taken this very simple program
Mm-hmm.
and created a baby step method for each person
Good.
to go through it. And so,
Yeah.
we start with the mindset because whenever somebody's trying to create a new healthy life and lifestyle, it really starts with your mind. And what we talk about in our first module is making the choice. You have to be ready to really go on this journey. If you're not ready, I tell people to just come back when you are,
Yeah.
because when you are ready, that really will create, the success in your journey. So
Mm-hmm.
we start with that, and then we dive into the food, and we
Mm-hmm.
dive into the anti-inflammatory food and lifestyle. And I give a lot of references and a lot of resources that people can use to help make it an easy transition to start incorporating the food into their, lifestyle and diet. And
Mm-hmm.
then, we also talk about movement and how movement, when some people think, okay, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to work out 5 times a week, and
Yeah.
I'm going to work out really hard, and that actually can be harder on your body than just doing things that are more nurturing and supporting to your system. So it's
Mm-hmm.
really about listening to your body, figuring out what works for you and what your body craves.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one is sleep, and just going into how to create a good night's sleep. I think a lot of us nowadays tend to either have a hard time falling asleep
Mm-hmm.
or staying
Staying
asleep.
asleep. Yep.
Yeah. So it's kind of going back to the basics of that, and really just nurturing our bodies and nurturing ourselves to
Mm.
create that optimal health and well-being.
It sounds wonderful. And I love the way that you've put
Thanks.
all this together. And I know that you're actually, which is very nice of you, carrying my reset program too, which is also about helping
Yes.
to beat anxiety and stress with all the tools that I use in my coaching program. And as well as, building more emotional intelligence in your work and in your life, basically. And it is a step by step. It is breaking it down into small chunks. And I think it's very
Mm-hmm.
wise to do it that way and know that this is not a race.
Mm-hmm.
And what you start today is an investment in your future. And it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter how old you are or where you are, as long as you start,
Exactly.
right? As long as you
Mm-hmm.
start and you begin. I'm very excited for both of you. I think having this amazing program within this, pain management clinic that you have is just perfect. It's such a great fit. And it's so wonderful having Ash sitting there in the background. Hopefully he's listening to
I
all
know.
of this. I don't know if he can
He
hear.
can't
You
he
can't, you've
can't
got your
hear anything
earpieces
because I have
in.
my earbuds in. He just hears me talking.
Yeah, he makes an amazing backdrop. Tell him when we finish.
I know.
Tell him. That's so funny.
Uh,
And we're going to list on the show notes your program, your website, your
mhm.
Instagram links. And I'm also very curious, just as we start wrapping up here, to find out a little bit more from you in terms of well, I think I call it your nugget of wisdom. I would
Okay.
love to know what your nugget of wisdom is for helping us shift our mindset. Now, it can be around food, it can be around health, anything that you want, but what would be your nugget of wisdom for helping us shift our mindsets?
So, nugget of wisdom, what has really helped me is just shifting what I am consuming on a daily basis. So,
Okay.
really focusing in on, positivity and being around people that are supportive and positive, consuming information that is supportive, positive, that's allowing you to grow your mindset and
Mm-hmm.
start just little by little. And you'll really see yourself transform.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see not only your mindset, but just how you handle certain situations when you are not kind of in that fear mindset. You're
Mm-hmm.
more, like we talked about
Yeah,
earlier, you're more in that open minded. So
I
I
love
would
it.
just say start little by little, and then find somebody that can help support you along your journey.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all about, coaching, therapy, anything that you can do that's going to help reduce any of those limiting beliefs, because we all have them. There's not
Mm-hmm.
one person that doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
and allow you to move into your purpose and who you're supposed to be.
Exactly what your
Yeah.
potential is. I mean, you really stepped into
Yeah.
your potential now, and everyone has a potential. All of us
Hmm.
have it, and we stay so stuck and frozen because
I
we have
know.
fears and we have these dreams and goals, but without really understanding our why and our purpose, we don't often achieve those goals, or we do over time, but it's difficult, so why not make the journey smoother and enjoy the process, shift your mindset as well, and just step into your truest potential of who you are. It's been wonderful talking with you today.
Been so nice.
You're
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, go
Go on.
ahead.
What were we going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, you can do, and anybody can do anything that they want to do.
Yeah.
And really that, old saying, if you set your mind to it, you can do it, you can achieve it. And it is true. I mean, there's so much opportunity around us at a constant basis that you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. And you can, it's just for some of us, it's hidden, and it's finding it, and then it moves you into your future. It's within all of us. It's just reconnecting with it, and then how to reconnect and then bring it out into the world so you can move forward in your future. Thank you so much. Now, where can we find you, Nikki? Where can our listeners find you?
So I have a website that has all of my healthy recipes. It also has a pantry guide that you can download. It's free. If you want to figure out how to start incorporating these healthy ingredients into your pantry, you can find me in that website is www.sanitas, and that's SANITAS by Nikki.com. And then you can also find me on Instagram. It's Nikki's, NIKKIS, Healthy Taste.
Right. Okay, perfect. Yeah. Everyone remember that's Nikki with NIKKI. Sanitas by Nikki.com and Nikki's Healthy Tastes on Instagram.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. And soon to be LinkedIn. And we can also find the program at your website. Is that right?
Yes, you can find that. You can actually find that on Instagram. If you click on my link in bio, it's connected right there. It's called the Inflammation Reset Program. We are currently in it right now, but we will be starting a new session in the spring. So you can always reach out to me if you're interested in signing up, and I can take care of it all for you.
Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you so much. As always,
thank you.
Inspiring, motivated. You are amazing. And I wish you both so much success as you move forward on your journey together.
Thank you.
And I just have a very strong feeling that this is going to be a great success for yourself and everyone else who is following you. So thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Nicola. I appreciate you having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I'll see you soon. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you for listening to Your Unique Brilliance podcast. And if you want to define your brilliance and redefine your diamond potential, schedule a personal consultation with me to discover just how you can do that at nicolasalter.com. While you're there, make sure to subscribe to the show so you will never miss an episode. And if you found value in the show, I would appreciate a rating on iTunes, or simply tell a friend. That would be amazing. You are amazing. Have an empowered week, everyone.